Hello brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another awesome episode of Gothically Yours, Professor M. I'm Professor M. In today's Goth video, I'm going to be talking about growing up Goth. I'm also going to be adding a very special segment on Goth Parenting 101, and this is under request for a video by Cosmic Blue Mama. She left a comment down below on my last video, and I felt so compelled to make this video this time around. So without further ado, please join Cedric and I as we talk about growing up Goth. Join us. In my last video, I had mentioned several times that I had a Goth mom. And that's where I'm going to begin my lecture today, about growing up, being born during the 70s, and having a mother who just was there for me the whole entire time I was growing up, and understood her son. And what is so lovely about that is that my mom, also being of Goth nature, has been my guiding light, my mentor, and my best friend. She is now 73 years old this year, and she is still gothing it up. I wanted to share a little bit about the background of who I am and who my mom is. I was born in 1972, so I'm 51 years old this year, but my mom was born during the conservative 1950s. She had jet black hair growing up, just like Morticia Adams, and she grew it all the way down to her waist, if you can imagine this. My mom had waist-length black, jet black hair that just waterfalled down her back. And I remember when she would sit in a chair and talk on the telephone. These are the days when we had what they call dial-up telephones, you know, the rotaries. You know, not this push-button stuff, the rotaries. We had an avocado green telephone that was hooked to the wall with a cord and a cable on it. And she would dial the numbers. Oh, we loved it. We had it all the way up to like 1983. And a neighbor came over one day and he said, "May I use your phone?" I remember the man looking, going, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen one of those in years and years." And she was like, "What?" She goes, "A dial-up phone." We just completely were lost in the fact that antiquities were a part of our life. We were actually forced to get rid of it because of modern technology. But my mom would sit at the kitchen table and she would talk with a friend, and her hair would flow down her back over the chair. As a little boy, I must have been about 5 and 6 years old, I would play in it. And she used to use a shampoo called Herbal Essence. I don't even know if this company is still around anymore, but it kind of had a Head and Shoulders smell to it. It was a floral smell, so, you know, so wonderful. And when I was playing in her hair as a little boy, she'd always go, "Get out of there, get out of there." But I never listened. It was always fun. Sometimes she would braid it and put it up on top of her head, and it was wonderful. She then cut her hair in the 80s, to our surprise, all the way up until the COVID-19 episode. So there was many years, there almost like 35 or 40 years, she had short, shoulder-length hair or shorter. And then one day she told me openly, she goes, "I want to go back to my natural length that I love so much." And I encouraged her to do so. However, my mother's hair now is pure jet white, and she let it grow all the way down again, way down her back. My cousin came over and was like, "Your mother looks like a witch." And I said to him, "You know what that makes me, you know? A son of a witch." Now this joke always keeps running because we have a broom. If you've not seen my video on our 195-year-old New England home, you'll notice that there's a broom in the back next to the fireplace. I don't describe what family member it belongs to, but I just say, ride with the moon at the dead of night. Anyways, I'm going to go back to my mom saying I had an incredibly loving and wonderful mother growing up, and she still today is my best friend. Now, a little bit about my father. My father knew who he was marrying. We have a running joke between my mom and I that my dad is a muggle. He knew who he was marrying. But he loved her so much. Right, Dad? Yes, you know where my dad is right now. Yes. A little bit about growing up goth. My dad knew that my mom had a profound love for horror movies, Victorian houses, cemeteries, gothically dark things. She still makes paper bats to this day and puts them up in the windows of all of our house. Halloween is one of her favorite of all the holidays. And she was just overflowing with gifts and support as she discovered that she had a baby bat in her hands. Now her sister's nothing like her. Her sister's all sunshine in California and Florida and getting out there and catching the rays, while my mother prefers creepy, old, wet, dark New England and staying at home, taking care of an herb garden and her cat. We used to have a black cat named Ishka Bibble, Ishka for short. I forget how many cats have come in and out of our lives, but they were all extremely well treated. Our latest cat now is called Maxie, a male cat weighing 17 pounds. This is the largest cat I've ever seen. But it was my dad's cat, but now it's become my mom's best buddy. My mom recognized in me at a very early age that I was, how does one say, a little bit on the dark side. When the kids would all play in the sand, and they had their little Tonka trucks out there. Oh, for the baby bats that are tuning in, if you don't know what a Tonka truck is, it was a little toy. Now they're collectibles, from the 1970s, and Tonka trucks used to play in the dirt with these little metal things. We used to have Matchbox cars. I don't even know if they make them anymore, but I used to have the Batman, and also the Spider-Man one with the spider web on it. I think my mom just knew I was magnetically pulled to the darker objects. But when all the kids were building little houses and stuff in the sand and stuff like this, I was going around collecting rocks to make a little cemetery, for the village. I had such a supportive mom. She supported me to go to design school while I grew up. I have no brothers and sisters, so I was showered with a lot of Gothic cheer. She bought me Addams Family books when I was growing up. She encouraged me to research things that I enjoyed. I enjoyed sideshows and curiosities, the world of Ripley's Believe It or Not, more darker elements of museums and things that were Victorian, and she always just encouraged me to just enjoy myself and enjoy life. And she took me to unbelievable amounts of cemeteries where we walked around for hours and hours and hours and hours looking at stones and talking about life and death. One of the more interesting aspects about growing up goth is that she also was there to listen to me. She was always encouraging me and loving me. And now, believe it or not, as a goth dad, some of me actually out there go, what? Are you married? Why, yes I am. I have my own dark Morticia at home, and we have a 17-year-old daughter who dresses in head to toe in black, has a black parasol, covers her face in 50 SPS, and will not go outside to not get tanned at all. She's got vampire white skin, and I am just absolutely in love with my daughter. I do have a baby bat, and I want to show you something very interesting. This is her favorite toy ever. It's called Kumdori, I think it is. It's a little dark creature. If you subscribe to my Instagram, you'll know that that's one of the things I actually mentioned, my daughter's favorite character. So now we have 3 generations, my mom, myself, and now her granddaughter, all growing up goth. And now we support my daughter's influence in the gothic world any way we can, especially with her little character that she likes. We started noticing that when she was doing drawings, there was a lot of gothic influence coming out. And I've always encouraged her to research and do things as much as possible. Goth parenting is about encouraging your son or daughter to embrace their liberties, to go and discover. Now, maybe you probably say, well, maybe they'll grow out of it. I didn't. It's not a phase. It's like you're born into it, you know. So, and anything and everything that I had talked to her about, she always encouraged me. I used to have a little itty bitty tiny HO size train set, and there was a haunted mansion on there. We went to Disneyland. We made a beeline to the haunted mansion in Disneyland together. That was like the only attraction that we were there to see. The rest of them was like, oh, okay, whatever. Oh, yeah, magic teacups and whatever. Pirates of what was that? Pirates of. Yeah, that. Okay, yeah, it's that. I mean, yeah, we went to that, you know, it's like that, but, you know, I kept asking my mom, can we go back in the haunted mansion again? She says, oh. She was very, very good to me. Having a goth parent in your life is very supportive, and what is it about? If you are a goth mother or a goth father, encourage your children to explore things. Don't let them don't hinder them and say, oh, don't follow me. You lead by example, you know. If you want to be like that, you be like that, you know, and you know, you grow up healthy and strong. I had my mom's inclination of restoration and antiquities and historical documents and B-rated horror movies and all that kind of stuff with sideshows and circuses, and she loved mermaid stories too, these dark mermaid stories where like the sirens come out and like kiss the guy and pull them into the water, and vampire movies where, you know, the Bram Stoker materials. I mean, I can just list so many things. The Fall of the House of Usher we read together when I was in 8th grade. She wanted to be a part of my, my homework. We had a homework assignment, and Mom says, let's read this together, you know. It's like, how cool is that? And we would talk about it all day, you know, talk about the Fall of the House of Usher. For those who don't know, Edgar Allan Poe and all of these Gothic writers were, you know, influential over our lives. And plus, as I mentioned before, Charles Adams's books. Goth parenting is enjoying your children and allowing them, once you discover that they're baby bats or have a baby bat inclination, that's the time when you start to share, when you start showing things that you enjoy and you love. And I couldn't have asked for a better mom. And she was always there, very nurturing and sharing. And like when I went home and I talked about getting some nail polish, she was right away. She picked out the color and she says, this one. She said, I'll buy it for you. She has purchased me so many wonderful gifts over the last entire years. And that's what parenting is all about, encouraging and noticing and um, building up a repertoire with your children. Now, with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this little bit of rant from me. I want to thank again Cosmic Blue Mama for encouraging me to bring out an element of growing up goth and to share a little bit about my life with all of you. What a wonderful thing that was. Please always leave me a comment down below. There's a 99.99% chance I will write you back. And I love all the reading the comments from all my goth brothers and sisters. I hope that you enjoy this very special episode. And as always, are you ready, Cedric? Gothically yours, Professor M.